I created the Ultimate Life Project Plan. I call it the R.I.C.H system. And R.I.C.H stands for Realizing I Create Happiness. Why is this necessary? Besides the point that He's God and it was effortless for Him, the Bible tells us all the work He put into designing a way for us to have eternal life. The least we can do is give our best effort designing a life we love. A church is a business, but it's God's business. Moses was a shepherd. We hear about that part, but not so much about that he was a servant leader. He helped people produce transformations. He helped with issues. He helped them with outcomes they desire. Moses had a stage. He was like a judge, and his father-in-law told him he was going to wear himself out doing that from morning to night. But Moses was also serving the people by helping them produce an outcome they desire. You can go from the pulpit to the stage. 4 levels of value. Implementation is using your muscles to make money. Unification is using your management skills to make money. Communication is the second highest level of value. And imagination is the highest level of value. Those are the innovators, the creators, the entrepreneurs. Selling is a communication skill. Churches like Jake's and Joyce Meyer's have created books to grow their church business, and I am proposing that training be a way to grow a church business, because delivering training is a value exchange. This is one of my assignments as an administrator. I help produce this outcome of a stage selling masterclass. I studied business, and I studied the parts of a business, what makes them run, what is involved in administering a business. I am a certified project manager, as I mentioned. I work for Fortune 500 companies doing software development. I went into business with partners to do a solar farm. We produced solar farms. At R.I.C.H, we had over 500 employees. I signed all their checks, and I was making $300,000 a year. That did not end well, fraud, arrested, but I was not in the headlines because I was in the background running the actual operations. I was the chief operations officer for the National Youth Chamber of Commerce. The IRS came for me because my partners wanted to do things that I thought were unethical, and I refused to do them. I got my life threatened. A man, actually, one of those men who threatened me, actually walked in his house and fell dead because of the anxiety. He had a heart attack. I mean, he was just crazy about that money. But my bookkeeping was bulletproof. I should make a course called Bulletproof Bookkeeping. I called my mom when I saw that the people in the black Escalades and the black suits, they were outside. They were coming to get me. Okay? They were taking me in. I called my mom and I said, Mom, I haven't done anything. And if I go to jail today, it's because God needs a Lorrinda in jail. In fact, during the IRS interview, I began to witness to them about doing business as unto the Lord. I said that my Bible says that when you find something for your hands to do, that you do it with all of your might. And that's what I was doing with the National Youth Chamber of Commerce. And I do business the way I would do it for Jesus Christ himself. And I went bald for the same reason that I went in business. More control over what I did and what I was thinking. I didn't want to be thinking all day long about a business that I didn't care about. I wanted to think more about God's business. I saw a TV ad where 700 women was planning a party for the whole state of North Carolina. We were getting a new governor. So I said, I need to know how that works. So I became a member. You see these faces? Not a lot of faces that look like me. It was an ordeal just to get into this organization because you have to be recommended. You have to have somebody to shepherd you in. And, I figured out how to do that, got in there. I ended up being a member. When I had learned all the stuff about about producing the party from the membership side. I was like, I need an inside look. So here I was with a master's degree going in here to be the secretary, to be the administrative assistant, so I could see behind the scenes what it took to put on these events and to produce that result for the entire state. Then I met Dr. Dudley, who was my first millionaire mentor. I drove back and forth for a year learning how the millionaire mindset and those kinds of things. Then I met Myron on a call. He was a preacher, a millionaire. They introduced him as a millionaire, but he was talking about the word and money all in the same breath, and it just flipped my script. So I told my mom, I've got to go to Chicago, and that's me on the left there at that conference. And I tell that story on my YouTube channel in the Royal Assignment video in Myron's Boss Moves book. This was my first assignment. My grandmother, we were administrators. My mom was an administrator, the secretary of the church. So that this is a very natural environment for me. I understand what it takes to grow a church, to run a church, responsible for God's people in that way. This was my next assignment. It was Providence United Holy Church. My grandpa got me this job. A bigger church would come and their programs was always so beautiful. So one day I got the nerve to ask their admin how she was doing it because my typewriter wouldn't do that. And she was like, girl, I'm not doing that on a typewriter. I'm doing that on a computer. I didn't know what a computer was. I paid way too much for it. I wanted to give my very best. My favorite definition of administer is to bring into use or operation. I actually help with the details. And this year we're on target for $100 million worth of value exchange, hoping people produce an outcome that they desire. Deliver the sermon, but why not deliver training and help people with the transformation that they desire? The renewed mind, manager thoughts, was one of my YouTube videos. That's one of the things that I really, really focus on in my personal ministry, which is mind management. Why this sermon couldn't be a training. In this sermon, The Renewed Mind, you talked about 4 days. You talked about 21 days. You talked about not having access to their power. You talked about people being lazy. Why not help people create a training that helps people access their power? There are already 3 or 4 parts here. It could be a 4-day event. It could be a 21-day boot camp. All kinds of things could come out of this. I did a little research about how could we deliver this with just a couple of people. So what if we sent people a text message during the day? What are you thinking? Write back with a thought that you replace with the word. What was the bad thought? How did you apply the word to it? Give them worksheets. We can send them PDFs in the text messages. We can send them reminders about accessing their power. There's this tool I think would be very helpful to produce a training like that. So in short, how can I help you get organized for growth? The Hebrew word for wisdom means skill. You have the skill already. You trained yourself. So why not get organized to train them to access their power and you get paid?